Chapter 6. Jezebel's Identity. We must understand that not every woman we don't like is indeed Jezebel. We need to be careful not to label someone like she's a Jezebel. We most often attach that familiar phrase and the Old Testament name of Jezebel to women who are seductive in nature with heavily painted faces, or to women who are overly aggressive, controlling, and manipulative. While that is not a wholly inaccurate description, the historical Jezebel, who as wife of King Ahab was queen of Israel, was much more than a control freak. Jezebel was inspired by the deceiver, Satan himself, to establish Phoenician idolatry on a grand scale at her husband's court. To further her cause, she slew the prophets of Jehovah, murdered Naboth for his vineyard, and then threatened the life of the prophet Elijah. Jezebel is also mentioned in the New Testament. Revelation 2:20 describes a Jezebel type of influence operating in the church of Thyatira. Jesus addressed the church of Thyatira and rebuked it for allowing the woman Jezebel, who called herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce the servants of God. Jezebel's intent in that New Testament church, just as it is today, was to cut off the voice of God's true prophets. Obviously, this cannot be the same identical woman mentioned in the Old Testament who was the queen of Israel. Rather, it was the same evil spirit seducing the believers in the church. We can easily conclude by the mention of Jezebel in both the Old and New Testaments that this evil influence of Satan, operating through a Jezebel-type spirit, lives on and operates even today. This evil spirit continues to seek out individuals, whether male or female. The spirit is non-gender, whom it can influence both in the church and outside the church. The Jezebel spirit works through many different avenues that we will discuss throughout this book. For now, understand that control and manipulation are two of its most identifiable characteristics. In the local church, the spirit can be found in both leadership and congregation. In the marketplace, a Jezebel spirit might manifest through a controlling boss or a seductive competitor. At home, the Jezebel spirit can operate not only through a husband or a wife, but also through a controlling child. Another recognizable characteristic is false prophecy. Remember that Jezebel called herself a prophetess. We have all been affected by false prophecy through Jezebel's deceptions and the lies of the deceiver. The Jezebel spirit attempts to deceive you into believing that you do not belong, or that others are continually rejecting you. All of us are confronted by her at one time or another. Have you been experiencing chronic dissatisfaction? By this I mean, have you sought joy and feel as if you have it, but later realize it was merely a fleeting sense of happiness? Are you frustrated with your life and yourself? At times, do you truly believe that you will never feel loved and accepted? Again, if so, it is very possible that you have been deceived into believing that you cannot trust God for your total fulfillment. You may even be trusting in counterfeit gods without realizing it. The Jezebel spirit is a strong promoter of idolatry. It is possible that you have been so influenced by the Jezebel spirit that your life feels as if it is spinning out of control. Or you might have awakened one morning and faced the fact that your life is in chaos. Chaos is a word used to describe utter confusion and complete disorder. Spiritually, we know that God is not the author of confusion. The enemy is. When a Jezebel spirit is in operation in our lives, we will most likely experience chaos, confusion, and disorder. It is possible in this instance that the spirit of lawlessness may also be in effect. We cannot allow any spirit of deception, especially Jezebel, to remain in control of our lives. Many have heard me say, if you ask the devil to dinner, he brings a suitcase. It is true. I know this firsthand. I thank God for the blood of Jesus that cleanses me and for his power over any demonic influence that tries to control my behavior.